How did plan development? We waive setbacks, we change things because it's for flexibility in design. So you don't have to comply with the ordinances exactly under a special
Oh, so
district.
sometimes you don't.
Yeah, lots of times we waive the ordinances or we change.
But if we haven't waived the ordinance is what it is, why couldn't we still go back and say?
Well, the concern on this was this, is that on the zoning and land use agreement, is that it said that they only had to go for septic to Washington County Health Department, which they're gonna have to do that.
Right,
But the county has different standards than us on some things, different standards.
are they tougher or?
He's available. We don't need him now.
No, I said Brad.
You don't.
We don't need him for that.
Hang on for a second, Brad.
No, I just said it for the group.
Do you want to find out if he can be available if we wanted to call him back?
We don't
Right.
need the
I
couple.
No.
think I'll have to just, we already know what we're doing. Well, you know, Nancy had some questions, she had some legal questions. I'm just saying.
Where's Rhonda?
Sorry?
Where's Rhonda then? Not forgetting the
Yeah.
958.
So we would speak on there. We'll see what he can work on first. And then we'll take. All right. Okay.
Oh, she just texted me. She said she's running a few minutes behind.
All right. So we might have to call you back. Right. You make it from under. You need, it's I'll,
Oh, yeah.
March 30, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Yeah. Call the roll in that. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good afternoon. Oh, that. I just called the meeting to order to walk. I'm gonna do the roll call.
You want to tell me mute their phones? You can ask people to mute their phones. Phones are going. Mute their phones. Thank you.
Yeah, can everybody mute their phone, please? I'll wait, yeah. Are we call the roll?
Yeah. Hello. Ma'am, can you please step in the hall?
That's okay. That's okay. Caviston. Finley here. Lewis. Linky.
Yep.
McGill. On her way. Seacrest.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Real quiet.
So the motion for that. Yeah.
Is the mic on? The mics have to, the mics have to work in order for the recording to occur.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, Scott Halpert, President of Garrett Space. I can speak now or speak when we come up on the agenda later.
Now we go.
Okay, so I know we are on the agenda and there's language that's proposed to be included in the land use agreement. We are comfortable with the original language that was agreed to and that was approved in the minutes. We're not comfortable with the additional language that was added. It's not, first of all, consistent with what was showed to our council at the meeting. And we've never actually been provided with that additional language in writing. Thing was done last minute. We were ambushed with the language. So we're not in agreement with that language, and we would request that the agreement as it's been previously approved and reflected in the minutes be approved. We don't honestly understand the purpose of the additional language, so perhaps you can explain that to us.
Well, it's my understanding, I remember Jerry agreed. Both of these, the first one was that if there is septic issue, then you would have to perform a council boards as well as that's all. And the second was that at the end of the whole process, still need to affirm to kind of come back to the board for development. Jerry was here.
Yeah, but he's sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I don't think we actually had the written language at that time. So now we have the written language and instead of doing administrative, we just by that, people that want to bring it back. I'm not sure somebody wants to bring it back just so that there's clarity
I guess I'm still confused because you're saying you've never received the written.
We've never received the additional language in writing. There was a conversation at the meeting where we were showed some language. My understanding is, and by the way, our lawyer couldn't be here today because we didn't really have notice of this meeting. And I think you should provide notice of a meeting when, we are directly involved. So the language that he's aware of was not actually consistent with the language that's being presented today.
Fair if that's legal, this whole matter. The lawyers. But Jerry, Brett, my understanding was this was all worked out exactly as in this document now. And that Jerry agrees to both of those, but if you are not comfortable with it, I think that you should.
I'm not sure if we should table at this point, Ken. He's just doing his public comment. I still think as a board.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just asked, we are going to talk about this when we
That's what
get
I
to,
just-
okay, good.
my notes.
All right, thank you, Scott.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we're gonna move to our first item of business. This is to approve the hiring of Brian Constance.
It's actually conscious.
For conducting a sexual harassment investigation.
Right.
So this is your motion.
Well, it's my motion. It's really, we already approved the sexual harassment investigation at the August meeting, and we had recommended an attorney that didn't feel afterwards that she could really represent the township because she made a disclosure that she had she was acquainted with one of our officials in a social setting. She had referred another item for another official out to another lawyer, and third, another person on the board actually used their firm 13 years ago for something that had nothing to do with the township. And none of the things, she felt there was no conflict of interest, but she needed to disclose that. And since I found her, I called each person that she had a disclosure about to make sure, each one of them knew. But I should have brought that forward. Not dealing with lawyers, I should have brought, so she dropped out. Yes, and she recommended a firm that has absolutely no affiliation with Superior Township nor Washtenaw County. So can I finish? Okay, so what I want to say is that at this point, we should still stick with our sexual harassment policy where it says that the employer is committed to take appropriate action to prevent unwanted conduct from occurring and to deal with conduct in a fair, impartial, and speedy manner. We did approve the sexual harassment policy maybe 3 months ago. This is still being done for the staff. This is not being done. I'm hearing rumors that maybe you think that some of us are out to get you, Ken. We're not. That's absolutely, let me finish. It absolutely is not true. If the investigation goes, like it should, and they find nothing against you, fine. But at this point, I think we should go forward. This particular person I talked to will also charge $300 an hour.
So,
I might have some, yes, thank you.
okay, so I wasn't here the day.
You must talk into the mic. Thank you, Nancy. I don't know why they're.
Oh, okay. So I see Rhonda coming, so why don't I just wait?
Tap on the mic, mix it up.
All right, Rhonda has arrived. Motions should reflect that. So, I was on vacation the day that you had the original investigation or the original special meeting. And I would tell you that letter that I sent, that email I sent was a joke. It had nothing to do, intimation of sex harassment in any ways. I sent it to 11 people, 4 of which were department heads, almost 2.5 years ago, and nobody said a word about it until the day after the vote on Garrett's space. Then all of a sudden, this becomes an issue. And I'm not saying that they're related, But that's what happened. And when the clerk came into my office the next day, she said, Ken Schwartz, you have a good reputation. Strike that. You have a great reputation throughout this county. Everywhere, people think that you do a great job and you're a good public servant. And I've been at it for 25 years in this community. But I was told that if I didn't retire, that some sex email would make it to the newspaper. And it turned out that that was that email, which was a joke. And everybody knows it. So I've been out in the community now. Went to the farmer's market, spoke to about 15 citizens out there. Everyone said, Ken, it was a joke. I sent it to them. I sent it to a bunch of people. No,
No,
listen,
let him continue, because
Listen.
right now I am
Listen.
struggling as a survivor
so am
with
I.
you're not a survivor
I am. So
of sexual
I'm telling
abuse.
you that the community has said for me to stay strong. They know the source, they know the problem with this, and that it isn't sexual harassment. And it's just an effort to tear apart my reputation that I've built up over 25 years in this community. And it's a personal attack that is being used for political purposes only. And Bernie, you have attacked everybody on this board. You have attacked Nancy in the past. You have attacked Lisa. You attacked Brenda when she was here, me, and you've even attacked Lynette in the past.
I don't recall that, but keep going.
Was when we appointed Lisa as the treasurer.
And I know that's what
Well, wait a
you,
minute,
no,
wait a
I
minute,
know
wait a
that's
minute,
what
wait a
you
minute.
do.
You're out of
No,
order. You're out of order.
but-
I
but
have
You're
order.
you're not sticking to this.
I am sticking.
Yes, he's giving his
Listen,
public.
I
comment
wasn't
on
here. You
this.
guys had the meeting when you knew I'd be out of town.
No, you weren't. You were here.
I wasn't here on the
Okay.
14th. So anyways. I just think that this is really dragging the township that has had a golden reputation for 30 years. The township is being smeared. And I hear about it at the parks. I hear about it at the township farmers market. I hear it everywhere. And not one person is called to condemn me or say you did wrong.
Ken,
It's a joke, and that was all it is to talk about making me a pair of burlap underwear.
Wow,
Ken, are you gonna go at it?
I'm
This-
really getting off, but
Okay.
okay. Keep going.
Okay, so I have not, I have.
You think
I-
this is
I am-
funny, Lisa?
This has to do,
Somebody,
Lynette, please. This really has to do with the staff. It doesn't have to do with people outside of Superior Township, the residents. I have not, I think one time I had an issue with Lisa. Lisa knows what it is. That was a long time ago. I have not attacked her. I don't attack
You don't need to
Nancy, and I don't know why you're saying that. I do know, Ken, that this has to do with staff and the pain that they felt. They did not want to bring it forward because you were ultimately the supervisor and they felt intimidated by it. I'm sorry. I am not saying that you have a good legacy. This has to do with staff against some of the things that you did. You went to the staff after this and they told you brought it back current by going to staff and asking them if they were offended. We all have
Two and a half years after.
no,
yes.
we all have an email that said, yes, the one
should be
particular
that.
person didn't say he was offended. He said he was pissed off. And then that's what he said. And he felt demeaned. This investigation is to see what the staff say. A lot of times we hear that the morale is low. It's just to have some independent body come in and investigate it. I think it's prudent. It goes with our policy. I'm not out there saying anything about you like you do.
so can I
Yes,
come
go
out?
ahead.
First of all, you said several things. I came into your office. I have this on tape. If you all are willing to sit and listen to what I have on tape, what he just described to you, please do, because you will see, just like the two detectives he sent in on me in my office, investigating me. Okay? I have all this on tape. They left because they know he didn't tell the truth because it's on tape. He's also telling you untruths. All you got to do is listen to the tape. Everything he just said to you is not true. I went into his office because he has been saying he was going to retire. There were a couple people that needed to retire. The clerk's office has been under attack for 6 to 7 years based on one critical element, and that is to hire someone in the utilities department that was promised a job. And I brought it to the attention of 2 board members, and they could no longer hire that person. But in the meantime, his goal was to get rid of me, along with another person. Their goal was to get rid of me. They sabotage your township elections. I have proof. And that is the next thing I'm going to take. 3 major elections. They talked to my staff members, trying to get rid of them when I went away on vacations.
All right, now this is
This-
irrelevant.
It is not irrelevant.
Because if you
This
want
is
to-
what I went to his office to discuss.
Listen,
I,
I'm gonna-
let me finish.
short right
You're gonna
now.
cut it short after you had a chance to
Short.
say
No,
what
wait a
you
minute.
wanted to say? You want to cut it short after? No, I'm gonna finish. So I have it on tape. I have the detective's comments on another tape. You can hear any and everything you want. What you are hearing today is not true. I went to his office. You can talk in a minute, Lisa. I went to his office because he said he was going to retire. Me sitting next to him, knowing all the things that he has done to our township. Yes, he does have a great reputation in the public. Yes, I did say that. But internally, what has happened in the clerk's office, I have proof. So you can believe whatever you want, and it is on this tape. I did not go in. It has nothing to do with Garrett Space, because I did believe he needed to vote for Garrett Space. Doesn't matter which way he voted. He needed to cast his vote. I could have gone in before that. He needed to cast his vote. That's on tape too. That's on tape on both ends. He knows that. And what he did in that meeting is said that he will retire if the township would pay his benefits. He would submit his letter. So all of the stuff he's saying to you, it's on tape.
All right, go ahead.
First of all, I just like to say, Lynette, I don't know what you perceived, but your perception of me coughing versus laughing, that was so out of line. Excuse me,
okay.
I'm not done.
Okay.
That is just an example of harassment that I have received since I have been
Okay.
at this township. And a lot of it has come from you because of your perception of situations
Okay.
versus clarification.
Okay.
So I do want to say that for the record.
Okay.
With respect to what we're dealing with now, I would like to call the question so we can move forward, because
Okay.
again, I think this is another indication to just show the township how sad in a disarray that we're in.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really, really sad that whatever is going on, who's telling the truth, who's lying, oftentimes, usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. And this is so ridiculous. We are wasting taxpayers'
Absolutely.
money, and we need to move forward. So I'd
Absolutely.
like to call the question.
All right, the question's been called. Lynette, would you read the roll?
What is the question called on?
The question is whether or not we should hire this Brian Conscious
Conscious.
to conduct this investigation.
Finley, yes. Caviston,
Yes.
Linky,
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Act. Seacrest.
Can't, Bill, you have to make it.
Stay?
No.
Well, I'll go yes, because it's already yes.
Lewis,
No.
Schwartz.
No.
5-2.
And is the time to ask questions or make a comment?
I think Rhonda said she wants mine.
I'd just like to say, if anybody is struggling, whether they're on this board, in the audience, can hear on Zoom, if you're struggling with any kind of abuse or harassment, please go and get yourself some help. Because I think to say what you're struggling with, but not to get any help, I don't think that the matter is going to actually resolve itself.
And I think people may
Worker,
be getting help, and that's coming from someone
Rhonda's
with-
time.
background in psychology.
So Do you hear me? Okay. So my question was with regards to the extent of the investigation was one of the questions that I have. But I'm looking at this more so from a standpoint of it's not as much about the incident that occurred a couple of years ago as it is about how can we ensure compliance moving forward. Just in the last couple of days, I went through a extensive compliance annual compliance for sexual harassment and discrimination. And one of the things that they were very adamant about was that there's no such thing as a joke when it comes down to any inference of whether it's if you intended it as a joke or whatever. So I think that it just bodes to me that there's a old school perception that things that used to be considered a joke are no longer jokes. Some of the things that people used to could get away with saying these days, you just can't.
I understand that.
And so I think
standards
that
have
this,
changed.
to me, I think it's more of a, what can we do? Not just about you, but as an entire township, because I would not want those types of things to occur and people are dealing with them within a vacuum. So just whether, even if it's our risk insurance folks or whatever, that's who did our training at my job. Just some type of annual compliance training that just ensures that folks understand and know what to do if they are victim, because just you could be the victim of someone coming up to you and saying, they want to take you on a date, or they want to, they rub up against you, and it's improper touching, it's an improper communication. But people need to understand that what their rights are in the workplace. And that's my main concern. So
Rhonda,
that's just all
I would like to respond to that. I appreciate what you're saying there. I really do. But we were going through our personnel manual, and Lynette had this email. It should have been brought up at that time so we could have addressed it in the manual. We don't even have, after all of that work on the manual, we don't have anything that addresses communications and emails inter-office. It could have been brought up at that time, but no, because it was being held against me so that if I didn't comply with her demands, boom, there would be a problem. And yeah, I went to the detective. I wanted to protect myself because I felt like I was being blackmailed. And right now, there's a request for a warrant at the prosecutor's office, and that's all I will say. Bill.
Thank you.
Rhonda, I appreciate what you said in the past. Ken has served this township faithfully. I've been an ally of Ken's for 30 years or something like that. And the last thing I want to do is persecute. The last thing I want to do is.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with what you're saying. The times have changed. Things that we used to say lightly and in jest are now being held to a different level of accountability.
Absolutely.
And the endemic racism and misogyny, which is at large in our culture to this day, needs to be addressed. And so I think to put this thing all out in the open, the last thing I want to do is make our township look foolish, like we're a bunch of kids in the sandbox. It's the last thing I want to do. I'm just saying, let's just get this over with and move on. And I'm, I'm on your side, Ken.
And for the record, I did not have the email before. The email came after the manual.
Did not, the detective knows it.
Regardless of.
So,
what it came,
but
really want-
I
Detective can't
agree,
know it.
but I agree with everything that's been said here, except that it was, to me, I did not have that kind of intent at all. And it was sent to 12 people in this bill or in the township services, and nobody said a word. And it wasn't because they feared me. I have emails after that praising me about this or saying negative things about that. But I will say, and you were here too, Rhonda, for month after month, when people came in here and Lynette called me a racist and white privileged time after time, and I didn't hear a word about, that was inappropriate language. I have emails from Lynette that I will now share with the rest of the board that I have never shared with the board because I just thought they were not worth.
And I have a million too.
Yeah, you
So
got-
we do need to continue. Yeah.
All right, so let's get a motion. to adjourn.
Please.
Can I get a motion?
We still have one more thing.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Okay, it's
Lighten up, everybody.
right. So this,
Your reputation, Bill.
Ken,
Well, let's move on to resolution number 2053-54. And it was, I have the original that was presented to the board on the night of the meeting did not have two sections. One was section 2.11. Parent 2, which was sanitary sewage disposal. In the original, it said all on-site sanitary sewage disposal facilities shall be approved by the Washtenaw County Health Department. All I said was to add and comply with Superior Township ordinances. That's all. I thought that you can read that as excluding our ordinances because we do exclude or we do modify ordinances when we engage in special district zoning. And I asked Jerry Fisher, the attorney for Garrett's Place, if he agreed to that. And he said, yeah, but wasn't in the language that was presented. That's correct. And then I had concerns that by approving this, nobody would be under the impression that excused them from going through the site plan process and going through and coming back with a development agreement at the end, which is what our ordinance says. And Jerry said, yeah, that's true. So Fred, I believe, drafted this up and sent it at the meeting or late in the meeting, or I don't know, Lynette might know when he sent it.
He sent it at 9:54 PM when he was reading the information. We didn't get anything prior to that,
Right, I agree. No, but
nor did we get a chance to see it.
so when this came up, I suggested to Lynette, let's just bring it back to the board with the amendments that I believe we voted on. And let's just resubmit it, just so that we know exactly what words are going to be in the agreement.
That's just what's in red.
That's what's in red, yeah.
so
And my understanding is we did approve that night.
We did not approve that.
no, can,
What's in red was an amendment, but it was not in the.
It wasn't
original.
approved. Right.
okay, so at that night, I kept asking Jerry Fisher if he saw this. I don't think he did. I mean, it was like we were asking if he saw it. He was saying he did, but I believe that he meant the original one. And I do believe that this was done in such a speedy way that night that it was like, hurry up, let's get this, on the table and get this amendment passed. We all afterwards thought, okay, what's going on? There were several emails between Fred Lucas, our attorney, and the board. And what he pretty much said was that these changes aren't substantive.
Yeah.
So if they're not substantive, I wouldn't even put them in there. I would stay with the original. Well, he said they were not, the reason that we didn't talk a lot about them were that they weren't really substantive.
They're very.
So
No, he did say that in an email to me, and we don't even need to get it. He did say if we left it as is, it would not change anything because our ordinance speak for themselves.
yes, because they still have to abide by the
Right.
ordinances.
The Thursday before, Bernie, I had Jerry Fisher had reached out to me and I called him at his office. And I went over these two exact things with Jerry Fisher. He said, yeah, that's fine, no problem.
Well,
I talked to Fred then. I thought they would be in the revised, but they weren't there. That's why I brought it up at the meeting.
so I guess I would just propose that we stay with the original resolution. And I move that we stay with the original resolution because you're still gonna make sure that they comply with our ordinances. I mean, our ordinances are like laws for the township. So even without those two things saying you have to comply, I just would like to move that we stay with the original resolution as is and just reaffirm that.
I support it.
Okay, Does anybody want to talk about that?
What is Fred's?
Fred, and if you want me to get Fred on the phone, I'll get Fred on the phone. Because he said he'd stand by for us. And I think we should, because the original agreement is weaker than the amended agreement for the township's purposes of enforcement by far. And this makes it clear that, yes, if you get a permit from the county to discharge down there, you still got to come to the township and get our permission if you're going to do something outside the county's general standard health plan.
But doesn't the ordinance say that?
Yes, it does. And that's.
No, this agreement does not say that.
No, I'm saying the ordinance.
No, because in our agreements, on our development agreements or these zoning agreements, we exempt certain ordinances and we show regulatory flexibility. That's the whole purpose of this.
But it says in compliance with township ordinances,
No, let's get Fred on the phone. I think it's really important. It's
Well-
really not that, it's not going to make a difference.
and
I don't
maybe,
think.
maybe what we should do is wait so the lawyers can get together.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
If the lawyers want to get together and, we can bring it back at a later time, but
Okay, why don't we table it? So,
Yeah,
so I take my motion off the
Okay.
table.
to when?
Um,
October? That gives
wanna
them
do
plenty of
it?
time to work it out.
would they have time to do it for the next meeting? Or Monday's meeting? This,
I think.
yeah.
it's a-
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
know.
no, that's too,
We don't know
that's
the
too
schedule.
fast.
so October,
To the October.
okay.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that. That's fine.
Okay.
All right, all in favor of tabling this to the October meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, so normally, we have pleas and petitions at the end, but it wasn't on here.
We don't do that. Not for
Yep.
special meetings, not all the time. No, we don't. Not for special, that's regular meeting.
All agendas should be essentially the same, but that's fine. If you don't want to have it,
We
that's
can.
fine. So if you want a motion to adjourn, you can adjourn.
So moved.
We did it first this time.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so
Support.
I move that we adjourn.
Support.
I think they were waiting.
Yeah, let 'em go out. You gotta stand up in the mic and do it.
So just for the record, we're going to allow public comment. Is that what we're doing?
I have no,
Obviously.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
I just assumed that we. We do.
My name's Steve Schulman. I've been a resident of Superior for 43 years. I live 100 yards behind where this potential property is going to be renovated. I knew Mr. Sarah personally, and when he decided to build, it took him 43, my recollection, 43 attempts to find a place to get the sewage go in. And I think the people are going to have the same problem, because I don't think anyone has conveyed to them the problem trying to find a septic spot in that property. And when we built our home, we had to have, because of the ordinance, an additional acreage to accommodate having type of sewage disposal. The other issue is I've seen the traffic patterns change dramatically. And I don't think they have taken a good look at what happens at between 3 and 6 o'clock on Dixboro and Plymouth Road. You can sometimes wait 15 to 20 minutes to get through the lights. And if there's an issue or a type of accident or something at the facility, it could be that dangerous as well.
So, sir, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Sure.
I appreciate your comments, but the zoning has already been approved.
Right, but you, on the addendum that you're gonna put in related to the Superior Township's septic issue.
Right.
And I hope they have in their purchase agreement that if it can't pass the ordinance for septic tanks, that they can get their money back, because I think they're gonna have trouble being able to put, I don't know how many facilities on that acreage, when Dennis had trouble finding one spot and had, I think it was 43 or 42 wells, until they finally found a spot that they could start building.
Okay, so your comment is relating to the provision about the township ordinance on septic.
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Roberta Colliner. I live at 5209 Warren Road. I've lived there for 38 years. I'm 75 years old, and I'd like to address the sexual harassment issue. When I was probably in my early 20s, the president of the company from New York came in. It was the first time I met him. We had a nice conversation. And in that conversation, he said, "Boy, you've got great legs." And I kind of chuckled and I said, "You know, that really isn't appropriate." And he said, "Thank you for telling me. I was totally unaware and it was inappropriate, but I appreciate you telling me that." So this whole issue seems to be a staff issue. And everything you said, Ms. McGill, about how times have changed, I will agree with you totally. But there's a lot to be said for just saying, let's just apologize and move forward. As a taxpayer, and I had the privilege of meeting with Ms. Lewis today, I got a lollipop and I paid my taxes that are exorbitant. I'm 75 years old. I lost my husband to COVID. And this whole thing seems so ridiculous for a taxpayer to be paying an attorney $300 for a mistake 2 years ago. So I would suggest, can we just start fresh and apologize and accept apologies and work with what Ms. McGill has mentioned, because times have changed. And it's important that we keep up with the times. And if anytime, and as a woman, anytime someone is disrespectful to me, I let them know, not violently, not angrily, but just to share my perspective. It's happened a lot, and I know I'm white. I'm not a Black female. I know you have had terrible things, but we are in so much better place right now. As far as, I mean, we have a wonderful community. I just hate to listen to this back and forth, and I don't want to pay for it. Believe me, I cannot afford to pay for an attorney for a staff issue. So get your shit together and fix this.
That's well said.
All right, is there anybody else who wants to say anything before we adjourn? State your name.
My name is Mary Glenser and I live on Voorhees Road. And I just want to say that I have worked as a newspaper reporter. I've worked for the Senate Democratic Office and I work for a school district. When I was working for the school district, that's where I retired from. We had to take a sexual harassment tutorial. And in it, they give you different scenarios and you have to answer questions. Do you think it's harassment or not harassment? And I can tell you from everything that I've heard so far that this is not a case of sexual harassment. And I suggest the board maybe have members do this tutorial, which I know school districts do it. And seems, Ms. McGill, you went through one with your workplace. And so, I mean, it's very, I mean, when somebody has, like, one of the questions was like some pin up on a calendar and a woman comes in, finds it offensive. If they asked, that's offensive, will you take it down? Person takes it down and apologizes. It's not sexual harassment. So if somebody is offended by something and they speak their mind that they're offended and somebody apologizes and doesn't repeat it, it's not sexual harassment. So why we're spending $300 an hour for what you can learn in a tutorial, I don't know. That's all I'm saying. I'd like to see the money better spent on the community programs that they talked about that were such a great success over there at the public library and wherever else. But that's all I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My name is Rosa Matuzak. I live at 4820 Voorhees Road. And I just want to remind the board, we have one supervisor that's been elected by the residents of Superior Township. That supervisor is in charge of the board of directors meetings. And I anticipate and expect that all of you will treat one another with respect and courtesy. What I've witnessed these last few meetings is terrible. I don't think I even saw my middle school students behave in such a way. We owe one another respect. And when someone's talking, you wait till they're finished. I mean, how hard is that to understand? You know, I've heard Ms. Davis talk about motions that she brought up and decisions made without her even being consulted. How much respect is that for her? You know, we elected all of you, or some of you were appointed, but we anticipate coming to see adults handle problems for the township. And, you know, the artificial kinds of excuses that you bring out to handle political questions, it's just not right. This township functioned very highly. And every time I came in prior to this year, I was treated with a great deal of respect. My requests were honored. I was treated like a resident. Now I'm not treated like a resident. I'm treated like an outsider by this board. And I anticipate holding you responsible for that, as do my neighbors and the other residents that I've talked to in Superior Township. So please consider your behavior as being watched, because I don't think any one of you would like to see this on MLive on a video. And yet, when we came to the meeting where it was discussed on whether to hire an attorney and Mr. Schwartz wasn't here, someone asked, what's this all about? And we were told, we can't mention it. It's too personal. It's private matter. And the next day it's on, it's on MLive. Somebody here released that information to the paper. And you know who you are, whether it's one of you or a bunch, but we don't anticipate this kind of treatment. I don't. I have a higher standard and I hope all of you do. Thank you for your time.
Point of correction, it was Foyard Rose.
Is there anybody else who would like to make a comment before we adjourn? Seeing none, we have a motion for adjournment and on the table, I think we already have one on.
I think we already, well, we gotta do it again since we.
All right, so can I get a motion for adjournment?
He had his hand raised. I don't know if he
All
was.
We
making
let
sure-
it-
Worded it.
Oh, okay, thank
So
you.
we already will have one on the, do we have one on? Yeah, all right, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Well, there we go. Okay, everybody,
All right, Ron.
let's calm down.
Oh, give that to me. Cause my mama needs to know. Let me get out of here.